What's up, guys? Tugi here, back again, live on Twitch, of course, but we're on YouTube after the fact, as we always are, because this is the Manhattan Project. I'm still a bit under the weather, so if I don't make a whole hell of a lot of sense, at least more than normal, like, I don't think I make sense at least 9 times out of 10 with, whether it's just talking in general, trying to make a certain point. You get what I'm saying. It's probably going to be even worse this time out. Because, again, not only am I still a little bit under the weather, but man, don't we have a big decision to make, because as it turns out, we suck. We are 15 games out of a playoff spot with 20, or 15 points out of a playoff spot with 20 games to go. So we left the last episode trying to decide if it was the right time to blow this team up, to move on, and to just try again down the road, and it's looking like that's what we're going to do. Now, I have kind of, for those, of course, who have been with me this entire time on Twitch, you know that I've been putting a lot of thought into multiple different ways to approach how we kind of kick off this rebuild. We could wait until free agency next year, resign a bunch of players, move them then. We could move them now and try to get half-decent draft picks. Or, like I said, we can move them at the start of free agency and specifically target players once we know where they were drafted to. It's a tough decision. It really is. Because you could argue, like, oh, well, if you're going to trade JT Miller and Kevin Hayes at the free agency period, why not just trade them now? They don't have expiring contracts like, say, a Bushnevich or a Nino Niederreiter does. That is a fair point, and part of the reason why we are still stuck here debating. Now, with Hayes and Miller specifically, and Kreider, who of course is currently injured, if we get rid of them now, that will make space for us to call up the likes of Lias Anderson. We could even give someone like Ryan Gropp, Adam Brooks, Robin Kovacs. We could give them some ice time, which would be pretty helpful, I'm sure, especially in the case of Lias Anderson, who has made some pretty damn decent progression so far this year. So, and not to mention, I haven't even really put too much focus on the defense, which has been disappointing. I don't know if I want to trade Anthony DeAngelo, because he might get a little bit better than he is now. There was definitely thought to trading Alexei Beregalazov, though, which might not be the worst idea in the world. Get rid of him, call up a Neil Pionk, and call it a season. So, the point is, I still don't have a set plan, which, if you're surprised by that, you shouldn't be, or you're not all that familiar with me and how I play out these franchise modes. So, I'm just saying. But yeah, Pionk is the best right-handed shot that we have. I mean, you could even argue that Joe Gattenby, who is actually turning into a half-decent defenseman, you could even argue that he would be worth calling up, which I might. Who knows? I might. Who knows? So, as far as what we're doing, it just doesn't feel right breaking up this core. It just doesn't. But I think at least something has to be done. As it is, we are currently 5th from the bottom in the NHL. 7 points off pace of the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, of course, if you've watched certain throwaways, you know that I also don't like tempting fate when it comes to trading for draft picks before the lottery, because we don't typically have that good of luck. And there you go, twist. Have fun with your, I won't call it 15 seconds of fame, because, hey, you know what? You deserve to have your name up there. I forgot to turn off alerts on OBS. That's okay. It's fine. But you're going to be YouTube famous, as some people call it, even though I get like 1,000 views per video. But hey, it's 1,000 more, or 999 more than I ever thought I'd have. Anyway, back on track. Can you tell I'm stalling? Because I still don't know what the hell I want to do. It's deadline day right now. We have to make these moves right now or forever hold our peace. And it's, oh God, it's tough. It is tough. You know what, though? Because I don't trust the lottery, I think we're going to hold on to our players. And then once we hit the free agent period, then we can make these moves and make sure, rather than trading for draft picks, then we can make sure that we actually get a decent return. Because I don't want to trade for Carolina's pick, and it was Carolina who was bottom of the league with like 52 points, right? I don't want to trade for their pick and have them lose the lottery and have it end up being fourth, which, knowing my luck, would happen. Is nearly a guarantee to happen. So, again, I have flip-flopped consistently, trying to figure out what to do. But I think the best decision is to say that we're going to rebuild, but unlike in real life where you would trade for these players right now, or you would trade the likes of Miller and Hayes, I'm going to be a little bit cheap. I'm going to be a little bit cheap and hold on to them. Although, wouldn't that create more excitement to get rid of them and then have to hope for the best with the lottery? Shit. You can see the conflict here. You can. Again, if you're behind on the series or whatever, spoiler alert, inbound. We won the cup in our first season. Second season, we missed the playoffs. We're here in our third season at the risk of missing the playoffs again. Again. Kurt Russell in Miracle. Again. Shit. I don't know, man. I don't know. How are you doing, Emmy? How are you? Just yeah, it's fine. No, it's cool. I'm speaking into the microphone. Just get right up in my face. Don't worry about it. Anyway, sorry, my dog. She's interesting. Miller, Hayes, Kreider. We keep Buchnevich for the season, even though I don't believe he is going to get better. So we could just get rid of him now, and again put Niederreiter on that second line and find a top line right wing. You know what? Let's trade him. Let's do it. Fuck it. If we get screwed over by the lottery, so be it. So be it. It might make it a bit more interesting. Again, this series isn't supposed to be like Rebuilding Hockeytown-esque, where I take not necessarily every shortcut, but I take advantage of every possible advantage that I can, knowing how to stay a step ahead of the AI GMs. Carolina's the first team we're going to go talk to. And then we're going to go talk to Chicago and Vancouver. But the problem with trading, to Carolina is they are, of course, in the Eastern Conference. However, considering these players are underperforming for us, maybe it is not that big of a risk. Here's the problem. Do they want to trade their pick? If they don't, oh, they do. Never mind. I was going to say if they don't, it's going to be nearly impossible to get. They do want to trade that pick. So let's see if we can work a deal out with the Hurricanes. And keep in mind, we do have 3 second-round picks, 4 third-round picks. We're still doing relatively well draft pick-wise. So we're set up for a pretty big year. Can I trade Kreider despite him being injured? I can. Fantastic. Now, who would we take back in return? Am I going to look for a throwaway? Or do I want... And again, actually, this is the third-year draft coming up. I'd mentioned... I don't even know if I mentioned this in this video. I think I might have mentioned it on Twitch before we started recording. The likes of Andrei Svechnikov, they've already been drafted. So this is the third year where it's just a bunch of randoms. It's just a bunch of randoms. So, yeah. But anyway. Oh, let's see. Is there anybody that we want to try to tack on here? Jack Studnicka might not be the worst option. Is there anybody that we want to go for here? Do we just want to go for a throwaway and have it be focused on that first pick? Because as it is, I am going to have to tack a little bit more onto this deal to make it work. Selman could be a decent throwaway. Wow, Carolina has a lot of players. Like, not under contract. My God. My God. So, who would I want to go for here? Roberts might not be too bad of an option. Like, it wouldn't be... I don't think it would be anybody major. I mean, Studnicka has really good value. We could go for Casey Middlestad if we wanted to, but do we really want two of our best prospects to be low elite potential? I don't know. Kwokanen's available, but right about there is where it starts to get a little bit ridiculous. So, how big of a blockbuster do we want this to be is the question. They want to trade Jeff Skinner. Really? Unfortunately, he's a left-handed shot. But, talking about potentially getting a right-handed shot, we could acquire Jeff Skinner, have the second line be Niederreiter, Skinner, Stromwall, and then put Kyle Turris on the first line as a right wing. That is an option. And his contract is expiring, so we would be able to sign him for pretty cheap. Huh. Jeff Skinner might very well be an option. Which might not be too bad. I should really take a look around the league. But again, we're already talking to Carolina. I do want that hopefully the first overall pick. Let's say we tack Skinner onto this deal. Do I want to go for someone like Studnicka as well? And by the way, holy shit, Spencer Smallman turned into a hell of a player. I mean, 82 overall for someone like that. I consider that a hell of a player. Let's say we go after, and this might be ridiculous thinking here, right? But say Kreider, what is hopefully the first overall pick, Jeff Skinner, Studnicka, and Elijah Roberts. That would be a hell of a return. The question is, number one, is Skinner the guy? Number two, what else would I have to tack onto this deal to make it work? Baragolazov might not be a bad addition. However, I would have to add another. Actually, let's say I put Baragolazov in this deal. I can add Selman. Really, it doesn't even matter. Selman or Weegar. Let's add Weegar to the. Actually, you know what? Who's the lowest overall guy here? You know what? Let's add Selman. Now, this obviously won't go through, right? But we do have those extra picks to try and get this to work. Now, is it the best option? Is it the best decision to just be like, oh, well, we want their pick and Skinner's here too, let's get him? Probably not. I should probably look around the league in its entirety to find, another option. That would definitely be a good decision. Let's see. But if we tack on that LA Kings second, that still won't go through. Not even close, because you got to factor in Skinner's value. But they do want to trade him. So let's say we take Studnicka and Roberts off of this deal. How close is that? It's not bad. It's not bad. Right. So let's go with LA's third and just see how close that is. Still too far off. We'll go with the LA second instead. How close is that? Still a bit off. So it'd be Kreider, Baragolazov, a second, and probably another one. Essentially for their first pick and Jeff Skinner. Which, still, I feel like we're doing all right. I feel like we'd be doing all right under those circumstances. So let's try the LA third as well. And you know what? I don't know if that would go through, but let me safety net it with a 5th round pick. What does Carolina say to that? That would go through. Kreider, Baragolazov, a second and a third. For their first round pick, which has at the moment, the best odds to be the number 1 pick, Jeff Skinner, and a throwaway in Selman, who we'd cut at the end of the year. Now, instead of a third, I might be able to do, you know, like a 4th and a 5th, which is definitely what I'm going to look to do. Here, we'll throw in... Actually, Nashville was... Actually, no, wait. Nashville was pretty good, I think. How about just... What about just the 4th? Sweeten it just a touch. Okay, not too bad. Let me try the LA 6th. Would that go through? No. All right, let me try a 5th instead. See if I can get away with this without giving up the 3rd. We'll just give up our 5th rounder. Actually, no, wait. Never mind. Never mind. Ah, come on. Quit glitching out. Quit glitching out. Minnesota. Will that go through? It would. So I don't even have to give up a 3rd. Kreider, Baragolazov, a 2nd, 4th, and 5th for what could be the 1st overall pick, Jeff Skinner, and Selman, who's a throwaway. That's not a bad option. We do get Jeff Skinner. This would essentially mean that frickin' Buchnevich is going. So Buchnevich would be going, but to get a high pick like that and Jeff Skinner in return, who we should be able to re-sign, no problem. It's just a question of whether or not Jeff Skinner's the guy, which I don't know if he will be. But I think we're going to go for it. I mean, like I said, I could look elsewhere around the league. The odds are, though, that we're not going to be able to find another player of Skinner's caliber. You know what? Screw it. If this ends up being a marathon, so be it. Let me just mark down what this deal was, right? Let me mark down what this deal was. And in that way, we can go take a look, and we can come back to this deal if it's guaranteed. But there is a really good chance we will come back and do that deal. Let me look elsewhere, though, first, right? Let me look elsewhere. Because here's the problem. Like I said, what are the odds that we find a team who wants to trade someone of Jeff Skinner's caliber? That's the issue. Because, yeah, we could go after, I don't even know, a David Pastrnak or whatever. We could do that. However, we'd have to give up a hell of a lot more, as opposed to with that deal there, where, oh, you know, not only do we get Jeff Skinner, but we also manage to get one. We also managed to get one potential first overall pick. But anyway, I wanted to mark down the teams that are at the bottom of the standings. And also, I think we'll just go, and at least now I know who's at the bottom of the standings. We are going to go team by team. I just want to see. Anaheim wants to trade Owen Tippett. I'm just throwing that out there. Anaheim is all right with trading Owen Tippett, which is hilarious. We're not going to do it. He was such a big feature last time out. But still, that's hilarious. And that does it for that. Arizona. See, case in point, right? Like, I could go out and try to get Dylan Strome. It's going to be so much more expensive. So much more expensive to the point where it's really not even worth it. And here, you know what? Here. Skaters matching block. Boston wanting to get rid of Trent Frederick. They drafted Eggenberger and Hayduk. But, yeah, nobody of Skinner's caliber for sure. Buffalo. Just prospects, which isn't too surprising. We have Carolina themselves. Columbus. Just prospects, not really surprising. Calgary, near the bottom of the standings. They are okay with trading Mark Giordano, but again, he's 35 years old. Honestly, I could get Giordano potentially at like half salary, and he might not be a bad line mate with Brady Shea. He might not be a bad lineman with Brady Shea, but again, they don't want to trade anybody else. And it would just be a pain in the ass to try and get anybody else. They have Nolan Patrick, by the way. They do have Nolan Patrick, by the way. You know what? I'm going to mark down Giordano's name. And as far as trading their picks, they do want to trade their picks, which isn't too bad. And actually, I need to go back to Buffalo really quick to see if they want to trade their draft picks as well. And they do, which is lovely. Just lovely. So those are two teams in the near the bottom 5 that aren't that bad. Chicago, I believe, is second to last right now. Man, is it a good sign that they want to trade their picks? Like, everybody's all right with trading their picks. Is that a good sign? I don't quite know. Chicago wants to trade their picks as well, so we'll keep track of that. But case in point, it's looking like Jeff Skinner's the guy as far as just how cheap he is going to be to acquire. It's looking pretty damn good. Colorado, near the bottom of the standings. Again, they want to trade their picks right now, which is ridiculous. They have Chris Kunitz. Not sure how they would have acquired Chris Kunitz. But, yeah, no interest, obviously. But it's looking like everybody's willing to trade their picks. Dallas, Fehervari has really good value, but again, that's all it is. It's value. Which, I mean, not too bad, right? Like, we could go after someone like a Fehervari, a Juuso Valimaki, and, manage to get some draft picks in return. That's obviously not too bad of an option as far as prospects go. Actually, let me double check here. Like, Owen Tippett would be an option. Boston would be an option with some of the players that they have. That's the question. That is the question, is how much do we focus on just prospects and picks? But as far, like right now, the main thing I'm looking for, of course, is a potential replacement for Kreider, much like Jeff Skinner. It's looking like that Skinner deal is going to happen, just as far as pure value goes and how cheap he would be to acquire. There are, of course, some decent prospects that we could acquire in other deals if we do get rid of JT Miller and players like that. But right now, Andy Green, no thank you. It's looking like Kreider's going to Carolina. That is what it's looking like. Now, of course, typically, and Johnny Boychuk is also in the same spot as one Mark Giordano. Interesting. I mean, probably not the best move. That would be a good move to make if we were going for the cup, which we're not at all. At all. So, again, typically this is the type of episode where I would normally try to find these trades before I actually record, but considering we live stream these episodes, I didn't quite have time. Lee Stempniak's being traded. It's just Jeff Skinner, man. It's the perfect deal. It is the perfect deal. Also, Tampa wants to get rid of Anton Strawman. He has 1 year left, right? I might try to bring back Anton Strawman. It might be worth trying to bring him back to New York, because that would solve our second pairing issue with Brady Shea. If Brady Shea couldn't do well on a second pairing with Anton Strawman, then Brady Shea is the problem. So we might be bringing back Strawman, and he could say, like, oh, we'll wait to see if he ends up re-signing. But I think it'd be good to bring him back, because then we could do the 85% trick on the contract and sign him for cheap. There's a really good chance I bring back Anton Strawman. Let's just take a look, though, elsewhere around the league. Nick Hague went to Toronto. Not too bad. Would have been pretty cool for him to be able to do that in real life. Edler, Goodbranson, and Del Zotto are all available as well, but I'd rather just pay the premium for Strawman. And Winnipeg, only getting rid of prospects. Washington, the last team, just prospects. So, let's go back to Carolina. It is official. It is official. Chris Kreider is going to Carolina. I mean, we have given him plenty of opportunities. No doubt about that. Let's get this deal done. Selman, where are you? And there you are. I don't even need to have them retain salary, again, because he only has 1 year left. So, this deal was for Kreider, Beragolazov, who just hasn't performed like we really would have wanted him to, LA's second-round pick, Nashville's fourth, and Minnesota's fifth. There you have it. Actually, you know what? Because I'm a cheap, cheap bastard. Can I tack on a 6th round pick? Just because I can. Wonderful. You know what? I need to feel like I'm winning the trade by a large margin. There you go. And actually, hold on. Hold on. How about 2 6th round picks? Will that go through? That's a deal right there. Damn it. Okay. They were on to me. They were on to me. So we'll do this. Here it is. Kreider, Baragolazov, a 2nd, 4th, and 5th. For Skinner, Selman, a 1st, 6th, and a 7th. Kreider, I am sorry. Baragolazov, I am sorry, but you fellas are gone. You are gone. Unbelievable. Kreider off to Carolina. Jeff Skinner comes back in return. And we are just getting started on some of these deals. By the way, both goalies at an 85 now. Man, Hank's contract is pretty ridiculous, isn't it? So for the moment, we'll call up Pionk, and we'll see if we can get Strawman. Because I think that'd be... Here's the thing, though, right? Like, D'Angelo's not too bad, but I think if we give him top-line power play time, we can go with a Graves-D'Angelo 3rd pairing. And I think we'll be okay. Brady Shea's complaining again, which isn't great. Which isn't great. But let's take a look here. We'll obviously send down Selman and Lettieri. And as far as this team goes, without making any other deals, which we will be, but I'm just saying, without making any other trades, we would have, we'd probably move Zook back to the right. And then we could have Skinner, Zibanejad, Zuccarello, Niederreiter, Turris, Stromwall. Not too bad. Not too bad of a top 6. In theory. We'd have to hope that that stays the same. But Jeff Skinner is a blue shirt. How do you like that? So, like I said, because of that deal, I think Miller, Hayes, and Buchnevich go. We may even trade Jimmy Vesey, who, you know, hasn't been complaining about being a 4th line guy. We could keep him. That 4th line in general is struggling. So we'll see what happens there. But at the very least, getting Jeff Skinner means Buchnevich is going because he's just not developing on the 3rd line. He just hasn't. He simply hasn't. But, oh, it's disappointing. It is disappointing, but I don't think that it's worth keeping Buchnevich on the 3rd line. I mean, maybe if we keep Hayes and Miller, but it is a pretty tough decision. And we will go back to the trade menu. Tampa. Tampa. Right. How do you guys feel? You do want to trade your 1st pick as well. My God. Again, it is dangerous, trading within, of course, the conference itself. Sergachev turned into an 89 already. Anton Strawman. Now, he had that 1 year left, so again, we could sign him for cheap. No questions asked. But how much would we have to give up to get him is the question. I could trade D'Angelo back to Tampa if I really wanted to. So from the looks of it, it would probably take at least JT Miller. And if we're going to trade JT Miller, I mean Kevin Hayes is up there too. So, oh shit, we should be able to get this deal done, no problem. It's just, do we want to give up on Hayes and Miller? And they'd be 3rd liners for the rest of the season, even though they are actually 2nd liners. Damn. Like, trust me, part of me still wants to keep Hayes and Miller. But they just haven't gotten it done this year, even though we've played them, I think, everywhere from, like, at least with Miller 2nd to 3rd line. I think Hayes was even on the 1st line at one point. Like, he's not doing terribly. Like, 25 points isn't too bad, I guess. He's missed some time due to injury. But he had 51 points in our first season. He only had 43 last year. Like, he just hasn't gotten better. So, let's go Hayes, Miller, and I might even... I mean, this is going to come back to haunt us in the playoffs. Make no mistake, this will come back to haunt us. That could get the deal done right there more than likely. So we are going to look into making this a blockbuster. No doubt. No doubt. Who could we get? By the way, Matt Spencer, again, turns into a monster every damn time. Every damn time. We could look to reacquire Libor Hayek. I mean, we did get rid of him basically immediately. Or I could go for that draft pick instead. Or I could go for that draft pick instead. We do have some people in chat saying, as far as people in chat, man, you guys make good points. You do. You really do. We could get rid of Buchnevich, keep Miller and Hayes, maybe even have BZ on the third line and bring in a different fourth line, or we could call up somebody else. Buchnevich, man, I don't know. Do we keep him on the third line? Do we get rid of him here? That's the question. I could get rid of Ryan Gropp instead. Because I don't know if he's going to make it. Like, there's a good chance of him making it, but he's going to be about equal with Buchnevich, even though he has a bit more... and you look at his stats. Like, I don't know how he's a 79. You know what? Maybe it's worth getting rid of Ryan Gropp. I don't know how he's that high of an overall. His stats look abysmal. So maybe it's worth using Gropp to try and get this deal done. And then we could keep Buchnevich until next year just to see what he can do with potentially Miller and Kevin Hayes. Because here's the deal, right? We already have we have our pick. We have Carolina's pick. We still have a ton of seconds and thirds. We're doing all right. We are doing all right. Who else could we get rid of here? We could get rid of Safin, who we drafted. Adam Tambellini as well wouldn't be a bad tack on, because again, I don't think he's going to improve. He's a more offensive player, so he's in the Jimmy Vesey role. He's never going to make it. So Gropp and Tambellini, how close is that? Still a bit far off, but we might not have to do anything too ridiculous. And here's the thing: by trading these guys to Tampa, we might be screwing the Lightning over, because they have a really tough time with their cap management. Like, a really tough time with their cap management. So you know what? I am willing to... Let's give up on Patterson. 20 years old, 66 overall. Can I tack him onto that too? I can. How close is that? I feel like that's closer than they're letting on, though. Gropp, Tambellini, and Patterson. 3 guys who we're never going to use. They're never going to make the NHL. And of course, it's easy enough to just sign a veteran to get that deal done and dusted. Oh, let's see. What if I use... what about Tampa's own 4th round pick? How close is this to being done? Is what I'm wondering. Let's see if I can just use like 2 fourths before trying thirds. We'll try the Vancouver 4th as well. Will that go through? Probably not. Yeah, okay. I needed to check, right? I needed to check. So third round picks. I mean, we do have a bunch of potential third liners. And a 3rd round pick from LA. How close is that? Well, I guess we found out how close it was. You know what? I'm alright with it. I'm alright with it. I could have pick hoarded a little bit. I honestly didn't expect that to go through. But I'm okay with it. Ryan Gropp, who was really never going to be NHL quality. Same with Tambellini. And Jake Patterson, who we drafted, I think, in year 1, along with a 3rd round pick from the LA Kings, off to Tampa in exchange for Anton Strawman, who is going to be on that second pairing with Brady Shea. And now there is really no excuse for Brady Shea to not get the job done. Like, you have an incredible, arguably the top, near the top as far as top 4 second pairing defensemen go. So, I'm alright with it. Like I said, D'Angelo and Graves will be the new 3rd pairing. The defense is still looking good. Forward-wise, we're looking good. Let's see if we do decide to keep Miller and Hayes for the rest of the year. So if we go best lines, and to be honest, we could go Zuccarello, Zibanejad, Stromwall. and then have Skinner and Niederreiter. And I'd rather have Skinner on the right. I mean, the 75 faceoffs. Only getting kicked out of the faceoff circle isn't a thing. So Skinner, Turris, Niederreiter. Not too bad. Third line would be Miller, Hayes, and Buchnevich, which again isn't terrible. And you'd like to think that that third line could produce, at least at some level. So, I mean, we could definitely trade them, but as it is, we've already gotten a decent return. We have draft picks. You know, this upcoming draft, who the hell knows as far as it's going to pan out. Prospect-wise, there are certain players out there that we could get that we saw teams were willing to trade. We could even go for more first-round picks. But maybe it's worth keeping the team together at this point. And then, like I said, defensively, I feel like we're really good to go. Like, we should be fine defensively. D'Angelo has power play time, which is great. Graves doesn't really need any time. Shea needs PK time at least, which he has, which is good. You could even argue giving him power play time so that he doesn't complain. But you know what? He should be okay. I would hope. I would hope. And as far as the power play goes, Miller would be the only one to really complain. Does he have PK time? Yes, he does. We'll put him with Zibanejad on the top pairing. I think we'd be good to go in a way. And then, of course, I mean, the game might change him back, but we could have Shesterkin be the starter from here on out. It's just, that's the question. I mean, Buchnevich really hasn't progressed much. Is he going to get better? Is it worth giving him a chance to progress this season? That is the question. I mean, that third line, like right now, if you look at how the team is structured, when you want to talk about, oh, who's at risk of being traded at this point? It's the third line. All three of them are at the most risk on this team of being traded. It's just, is now the right time? Do they deserve these next 20 games to prove themselves? Hayes and Miller are still signed through the next few seasons. Buchnevich is not. So, that is the question. Then down in the AHL, of course, they just got a little bit weaker on paper, unfortunately, but I don't think they were in a position to make the playoffs either. So I can't say I am overly surprised. But actually, they might have been, to be honest, but I don't really care. I don't really care. Right. We're still listed as contenders, too, which is pretty funny. How have the... the Wolfpack, they're pretty much screwed, too. Not exactly a banner year for this franchise. So, as far as that third line goes, man, Hayes, Miller, Buchnevich. Now, I can tell for people watching this on YouTube after the fact, on the Twitch side of things, a lot of people seem to think we should be trading Buchnevich, and I don't necessarily disagree. However, I don't know if his value is going to drop by that much. But the question of will he ever be a true second-line guy? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to progress to that point. He just hasn't shown it. So, I wanted to keep him. I wanted him to be a part of this team. But it might just be the best time now to get fair return and move on. Call up Elias Anderson, have him play with Miller and Hayes. If that third line struggles for the rest of the way, then trade Miller and Hayes at the draft. That way, we don't give up all of our cards already. We don't show our complete hand. We took the risk trading for the Carolina pick. We definitely took the risk there. You could have argued I should have traded for the Tampa pick as well, and I could have. More than likely. I don't know. That might have been a bit too much as far as value goes. I think we're going to trade Buchnevich, and then Miller and Hayes might be traded at the draft. I think that is the best way to handle it. So, as far as where Buchnevich goes, I mean, I do still have the list of teams. Now, I'm going to rule out Tampa, Colorado, and Buffalo. Not Colorado. I mean Tampa and Buffalo in general. I was looking at the full order. We want to trade. I want to trade him to a Western team for sure. Now, if we're looking for picks, Vancouver, San Jose, Colorado, Calgary, Chicago, all good options. But there is a certain somebody. There is a certain somebody that the Anaheim Ducks are willing to get rid of. Although, I mean, what better team for him to be on? That's a whole lot of orange. That's a whole lot of orange. There's a chance that we trade for Owen Tippett. There is. Arizona, they didn't really have anybody prospect-wise that they wanted to get rid of. They didn't have a single person. There you go. Buffalo were ruling out. Calgary, they only wanted to get rid of Giordano, which is a bit of a problem. Chicago, who did they have? Nobody great, that's for sure. Colorado, who did you have? Kunitz. So again, nobody great. How about Dallas? They have the champions tag. Fehérváry, but he's a little bit of a ways away. Valimaki might not be a bad pickup either. 74 overall at 20 years old. So for forwards, we're definitely looking at Tippett on Anaheim, Valimaki on Dallas for defense. Those are the two favorites. And I know what you're saying about Fehérváry and his value, more than likely, but he is a 59 overall. He has a long way to go before he's even an NHL or even an AHL threat. So I'd probably avoid him. More than likely. Didn't mean to go to Florida. Might as well see who they have. They don't have anybody. L.A. Not that you had good value. You don't. Minnesota. Any decent prospects? Kuhlman, 72 overall at 18 years old. Holy shit. Well, there's a new favorite for defensemen, I think. As opposed to Valimaki. Valeri Kuhlman. 18 years old, 72 overall. He was the 12th overall pick in last year's draft, the second-year draft. He is signed. He is Russian. He could go straight to the AHL. He's the new favorite. He is the new favorite. I think even more than Owen Tippett as far as who to acquire. Because that would be a pretty damn good pickup for us to be able to acquire him. Who else do we have here? San Jose, and they were good as far as picks go, but they don't have any prospects. St. Louis, just Lee Stempniak. Vancouver, you were pretty low as far as that, as far as the standings go, but you're not getting rid of any prospects. Oh, Winnipeg doesn't have anybody. So, if we're looking at just pure prospects, it's Owen Tippett as a forward, Valimaki, or even better, from Minnesota, Kuhlman. And, I mean, here's the thing, right? And I know some people are really worried about goaltending prospects, right? There isn't a whole lot of faith right now in Shesterkin. There isn't a whole lot of faith in him, right? And I know, here, you know what? Due diligence, as I say. Let's look for goalie prospects, all right? Let's look for goalie prospects. Let's see. And again, I would prefer it to be somebody that the team actually wants to get rid of, right? I mean, because that just makes it a whole lot easier. I'm still only going to look for Western Conference teams because I don't necessarily want to trade Shesterkin or even Buchnevich to an Eastern Conference team. I don't really want to do that. Like, there are definitely some goalies that we could pick up, right? There are some goalies we could pick up. Like, holy shit, Chicago gets the goalie of the future. 66 overall at 18 years old, Vyacheslav Tutin, 13th overall pick in last year's draft, and they want to trade him, which is crazy. Unfortunately, if we were to go after him, guys, I'm pretty sure we'd have to get rid of Miller and Hayes as well, which I don't even know if that's... I don't even think it's possible. I'd have to give up a whole lot of picks to make it happen, because, of course, the Blackhawks are in cap hell at the moment. So I get the concern with Igor. Easier for me to just say that. Not like I'm butchering his name, but it's just the sh when you're still a bit stuffy after being sick. There are still decent goalie prospects, is what I'm saying, that we could go out and acquire right now in exchange for Buchnevich, whether it's someone like Luukkonen. I could go all out and try to get the guy from Chicago. I mean, how often do you see a team wanting to trade somebody that valuable? But I think I'm still going to put a little bit of faith in Shesterkin at this point. I mean, Michael DiPietro, someone else who we could acquire. He's about equal or about even as far as trade value goes. Fucale is an 85 already, so we'd really just be changing out one goalie for another. I think Shesterkin is the guy worth keeping. He is the guy worth keeping. As far as goalie prospects go, we could definitely go after the guy from Chicago. That might be a little bit too much, though. So I'm thinking the player from Minnesota, that defenseman, Kuhlman, is the guy to go after here when using, and yes, Ottinger's there, but you notice his value is only a medium starter. Nah. Basically what I'm saying is I don't exactly want to give up on Shesterkin just yet. Not necessarily. Would it be good to have that next goalie prospect, you know, in our system to begin with? Sure, of course it would be. But I mean, as far as like truly elite goalies go, it's just that guy from Chicago, really. Everyone else seems to be about equal to Igor. So, and we'll check Washington for the hell of it. They have Holtby and Ilya Samsonov, so there you go. Let's go back to Dallas. Buchnevich is going. I'm still not sure how I feel about that, but I don't think he's going to become that top 6 guy. Actually, it wasn't Dallas, it was Minnesota. Easy to confuse them, I do suppose. Kuhlman. Kuhlman, you are the guy. You are the player we are going after. Oh God, and who else could we go after here if we wanted to? I'd say probably a pick at this point. And let's go 4th and a 6th. Actually, here, you know what? Your 3rd isn't worth anything. How close is that to going through? I feel like it might be. Let's, what do we want to use here? How about the Anaheim 6th and the LA 6th? How close are we to getting a deal done here? I'm still probably way too far off. I'm just saying. I'm obviously going to try to get this deal done for as cheap as possible. Let's use the Colorado 5th for the hell of it. How close is this deal to going through is the question, and apparently not close enough. So I'll stop being so cheap just so that we can get this to go through. How about the Tampa 4th? How's that looking? Still not that close. But Buchnevich picks for Kuhlman and a 3rd. Are we going to be able to get this to go through? Let's use the Colorado 5th. Will that go through? It's looking about even. Still not, though. A 3rd round pick is making this a little bit tedious. But Buchnevich, a 4th and 2 5ths for Kuhlman and a 3rd. Still didn't go through. I mean, I'm alright with it because we're not giving up really anything for picks. So I'll give up all of our 5th round picks. I don't care. It's just trading Buchnevich, man. It's disappointing. It is disappointing, but as it stands, he's not going to break in to that top 6. Again, the question was, you know, if we don't get Skinner, Buchnevich gets that top 6 time, but Skinner, it was just perfect to be able to acquire him. Will that go through? Still no. It is close, though, so we'll just change one of these picks over to a 4th. Let's use the Vancouver pick, and we'll have the Anaheim 6th. That should go through. Buchnevich, 2 4ths and a 6th for Kuhlman and a 3rd. Still no. Wow, really? Stingy. Stingy, Minnesota. You're so stingy. We'll use the Carolina 6th as well. Will that go through? Still no. I'm going to have to use a 5th. We will use Colorado's. And you know what? Just because I don't want it, let's tack on the Tampa 7th. That should do it. So Buchnevich, 2 4ths, a 5th, and a 7th for Kuhlman, and a 3rd. It will go through. Is it the right move to make? I think it is. Let's do it. Buchnevich, I'm sorry. But you are off to Minnesota. Well, 2 years later, we finally get a deal done with the Wild. Not the one I expected to make a few seasons ago. But it is done. It is done. Making deals. Making deals. So we will send Kuhlman down. Actually, we can't at the moment. We have to call up another forward, that's why. And we'll probably just look to sign somebody instead. Like, I can call up Kovacs or Anderson for the moment, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to call up Selman. Because I'll probably look to acquire somebody, whether signing them or just outright trading for them. I could pick up a fourth liner to give VC time on the third line, or I could just get rid of Jimmy VC to begin with. So again, if we go best lines, it does have VC there, as you would expect. So Hayes and Miller, we could keep them. The defense, of course, is set. We go best lines down in the AHL, which it might be worth getting rid of somebody so that Kuhlman can play. Yeah, it might be worth getting rid of one of these defensemen. To be honest, it will probably be Will Butcher. I mean, he's not bad, but he's never going to make the AHL. So, I'm thinking Butcher's the guy to get rid of. Or, because, yeah, it would be nice to play Kuhlman. It would be nice. So, let's see. I could go with VZ there and call up Elias Anderson, which is what I was originally going to do. Let me double check here. And this episode, in case it hasn't been proven at this point, is going to be just the deadline, which is rare for me to have just a deadline. I mean, this is probably the biggest deadline day video I've had in a series in a very, very long time. So we will make the most of it. We'll sim the rest of the season and get into the draft in the next one. My question is, do we have anybody that is worth signing? Not as a defenseman, but as a forward. I mean, defensemen were good. Forwards, you have Kadlik, Safin. Okay, so there are a couple of guys. That we could pick up here. So really quickly, I do want to trade a defenseman, and let me double check the forwards again very quickly. Very, very quickly. Down in the AHL is what I'm worried about at the moment. So you have DeSalvo. You would have... Yeah, we do need to sign at least probably 2 players. We do need to sign probably 2 forwards. Then again, if we do acquire somebody else different for the fourth line, if we acquire a fourth line grinder, we'll be fine. But I'm all right with keeping busy and having Jimmy Vesey on the fourth line and giving Elias Anderson a shot on the third line. Might as well. So, you know, I think that's what we're going to do. So let me go ahead. God, do we keep Vesey there? Or do we give Elias Anderson the chance? You know, let's give Elias Anderson the chance. Fuck it. He's low elite. It's worth taking a risk. So, it is worth taking the risk. So, let me go ahead and sign 2 of these forwards. I'll sign 2 of these forwards. Formenton's Canadian, so we can't sign him just yet. We could sign Kadlik, although he doesn't have the best potential. Can we sign McFarland? Yes, we can. So it is going to be Safin and McFarland that we sign here. And again, we need to get rid of a defenseman. And then we're good. Then we are good. So, question is, I mean, I want to see what Butcher's value is. I mean, I know, especially too in Twitch chat, a lot of people are mentioning Alex Peters as the guy to get rid of, which not a bad option either. It's hilarious we still have the contenders tag, although I guess I'm not really all that surprised. So Peters still has good value. He is 22 out of 74, so yeah, he's not going to make it. He's not going to make it. We signed him as a free agent. He's not going to make it. Zaborovsky, that name, man. I don't know why. It's the Z and the I and ski, everything. Yeah, Peters is probably the guy to go. But again, where the hell? Wow, Butcher is way the hell down here. Yeah, case in point. So he's not bad for an AHL level guy. Nouveau isn't terrible either. Of course, he just doesn't have the potential. He just doesn't have the potential. I don't know, man. I don't think Peters will make it. Obviously, Day has a good chance. I'm going to just call him frickin' Sergey at this point. Pionk still has an outside chance at making it. Ehrhoff, maybe. But yeah, Butcher, he's not going to get any better than that. He's not bad as a depth defenseman. So yeah, maybe Peters is the guy worth getting rid of here. Although, has Peters been in the lineup is the question. I don't think he has been. I don't remember. Has Peters been in the lineup? Give me a second. I can't remember. Because if he hasn't been, then we're going to have to trade him and Butcher to whatever team we can hopefully trade them to. I don't even know if enough teams have 2 spots available. We'll find out. Let me go to Edit Lions here, which I should have done the first time. So down in the AHL, is he... Yeah, he's not even playing. So it would be get rid of Butcher and Peters, and then I could sign one other unsigned defenseman that we currently have. So I'm going to get rid of both of them. I'm going to get rid of both Butchers, Will Butcher at least, and Peters. And then we'll, again, just sign one of our other prospects and give them the proper amount of ice time. So let's do this. Alex Peters, I'm sorry, buddy. It's not going to work out. Will Butcher, Opie Baker Award winner. It's not going to work out. Where the hell can we trade you to, though? I know Buffalo was a good fit. Is there anybody else, though? LA is the perfect fit. They really are. Actually, well, then again, Buffalo does have the decent draft picks. Calgary is perfect. Never mind. Calgary is the perfect fit. And they want to trade their picks. Getting a second-round pick out of this wouldn't even be fair, which is why we're going to do it. I'm also going to try to get their third-round pick next year. That might honestly go through, as stupid as that sounds. Can I get their fourth this year as well? Will that go through? Still no, but you know what? Let's try for it, because as it is, you can tell, we're in the 2019 draft. It's showing the lower picks first, which is never a good sign. Let's try the 3/7. Well, it is a good sign as far as, oh shit, you have a ton of picks. It's a good sign then. So let's try a 6th and 2/7. Will that go through? Yes, it will. There you go. Alex Peters, Will Butcher, and some draft picks off to Calgary for some even better draft picks. There you go. As if we didn't have enough picks to begin with. And as far as draft picks go, of course, on draft day, we can go ahead and, you know, try to find certain other deals, move up if we have to. But, man, somehow, JT Miller and Kevin Hayes have avoided the cut for now. I don't know if they'll be on our team next year, though. That's what we're going to have to try and figure out. Defenseman, who do we have? Ehrhoff was German, wasn't he? So I should be able to sign him. Perfect. 73 overall at 19 years old. He has the arguably the best value out of anybody. We could go with De Jong, but we'll sign Ehrhoff instead. And I think we're pretty much good to go. At least for setting up this team for the rest of the year. At the moment, Hayes and Miller will survive, and then that way, if we do decide to trade up at the draft, we have them to use in that spot. We need to send down Selman and call up Elias Anderson. He'll be given the shot for the rest of the year. You know, you could argue someone like Robin Kovacs honestly might not be a bad call-up. You look at what he's capable of offensively. Like, I know that Elias Anderson is the kind of the popular choice, but we've seen what Robin Kovacs can do in other series. That's actually an interesting dilemma. Do we call up Elias Anderson or do we go with Robin Kovacs on that third line? You know what? I think I'm going to go with Kovacs. Because it might be more beneficial to Hayes and Miller as far as helping them out and trying to get some damn offense going. So we'll see. And then on defense, we have to send down Ehrhoff. So, let's see what this team is looking like. Again, we swap out VZ for Kovacs. I could play Kovacs on the fourth line, but to be honest, I don't really care much for Jimmy Vesey, really. And then, of course, our fourth line is just kind of a throwaway fourth line. We tried a more defensive approach. I mean, we could get rid of that fourth line entirely and just have it be a youth line. Might not be the worst idea in the world. If that were to be the case, I mean, Anderson, probably Brooks, and, I don't know, maybe someone like a Cameron Askew. You know what? Maybe that would be for the best. Just get rid of that fourth line. BZ doesn't really have a future here. And he's not bad as a third or fourth liner. But I don't know how much of a future he has here. He's not going to get any better than he is now. You know what? Let's do that. We're not done yet, surprisingly. VZ, White, Wagner, and Lettieri all need to go. Lettieri's 24. He's not going to get any better. Selman, of course, will hold on to for the rest of the year. Let's go make some deals. Oh, we're not done yet. We're close. This marathon of a trade deadline isn't over yet. Surprise, surprise. But again, definitely there's no way we're simming in this episode. So for forwards, we might have to trade them all separately. It's not the worst case scenario, though, I do suppose. So White, where can we send you? You know what? I mean, Anaheim was the first option. Actually, Buffalo wouldn't be too bad because they do have half-decent draft picks. So let's go talk to the Buffalo Sabres really quick. Am I going to be able to get a second-round pick out of this, is the question. That might be a bit too much. I will settle for a third. That might go through straight up because they want to get rid of the pick. Let me see if I just safety net it with a sixth-round pick. Will that go through? Holy shit, it would. Somehow Ryan White's worth a third-round pick. That's hilarious. How about a third and a fifth? Still no, but you know what? We can use the seventh, or at least the 1/7 we have left to get that done. There you go. Ryan White and a seventh to Buffalo for a third and a fifth. That is highway robbery, but I will gladly do it. So, let's call up Elias Anderson. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So, it's Wagner and Vesey that need to go next, and Lettieri. We still got a couple of people to get rid of. And again, we can't trade Selman without getting in trouble for it. So, Lettieri's up next. Who is it going to be to is the question. Looking at contract numbers, LA is not a bad idea. Ottawa only has one spot. Yeah, Washington's good, but you know what? I'll still take the picks. I will still take the picks. That's fine by me. See if we can get their third for this, and we definitely could. Go figure. Can I get their second for it, is the question. I'm going to try. Actually, no, that's a bit too much. We'll go for the third. We'll even, you know what? Here, let's just pickhoard it a little bit. Actually, that's a bit too much. You know what? Third and a fifth might work, and I'd be fine with that. Will that go through? No. How about a third and a sixth? Is that good enough? Still no. Just a third. There you go. Lettieri to Washington for a third. That is highway robbery. Even more so than the Ryan White deal. That is ridiculous. 2 trades to go. 2 trades to go. It's going to be... Where are they? There's Wagner. And, unfortunately, Jimmy Vesey, unless I were to keep him for that fourth line, which, you know what, I might, in fairness. I think I'll get rid of Wagner. Let me see if it's worth keeping Jimmy Vesey, though. And let's see. And you know what? There's, I think there's a certain somebody we might still be able to work a deal out for. I know the values are pretty extreme. But I'm just saying, we might be able to get this to work. Damn it, they'd have too many skaters. You know, Jimmy Vesey, I was thinking of keeping you, but to be honest, I think I like this idea better, rather than keeping Jimmy Vesey. I think this would work a little bit better. Now, is there anybody unsigned that we can tack onto this? Like West, Brazeau, rather than draft picks. Even, actually, Cadlec's not looking too bad. There's no way. I should just use draft picks, of course. Holy shit, never mind. Vesey, West, and Brazeau for Owen Tippett. Jimmy, I really wanted to keep you here, buddy. Like, I really wanted to keep you here. However, given the circumstances, I think Anaheim's made that decision for me. So, yeah. Owen Tippett. Welcome to and actually draft pick wise, I don't even think I need to. I'm not even going to tack on anything. I feel bad enough. Jimmy, have fun, buddy. Owen Tippett is a Ranger because of course he is. I should go out and get Nick Hague now from Toronto. They wanted to trade him. Holy shit! How the hell did that work out? Wow. All right. Well, this is turning into a hell of a rebuild, isn't it? Let's call up Adam Brooks. He'll get a chance on that fourth line. And the fourth line as it is, I mean, we still need to get rid of Wagner. Yeah, we still need to get rid of Wagner. So the fourth line will probably be Brooks, Anderson, and like I said, maybe Cameron Askew, potentially. I mean, Tippett's only a 73. So we still have some deals to make. And actually here, you know what? I need to check the AHL while we're still at it. I do need to sign some forwards now. I do need to go out and sign some forwards. So let me do that really quickly before the game signs AHL level players for me. To be honest, I didn't even want to get Owen Tippett, but it was so easy. I couldn't help myself. It was so easy. What the hell? Jimmy Vesey again. Bushnevich, Jimmy Vesey. These were players who were supposed to be a part of this series, but it just didn't work out that way. Unsigned forwards, we do still have Cadlec that we can sign. He is American. I mean, he's not the best player to sign, but I need to at least sign him. I mean, yeah, he's not the best player to sign, but you know what? What we will for now. That way, I can at least get rid of Wagner, and I will also go to the free agent list, and I'll try to bring in just 2 veterans that can be sent down to the AHL to help. Actually, I might even have to sign 3. So let me double check here very quickly what we would be looking at. So let me call up. I'm probably going to call up Cameron Askew, like I've mentioned. I think he's the best guy to get rid of, or to give that chance to. Selman, of course, is an RCL. Let's call up Askew. You could even argue Petrus Palmu. I mean, let's see. Askew is high AHL top 6, 77 overall at 21 years old. Fontaine's about the same. Roberts, Tim Gettinger might not be a bad option. Palmu is also high AHL top 2. You know, I'll give Askew the chance. I mean, it's him or Palmu, but yeah, let's call up Cameron. And then again, let me double check the AHL for what we would have to do here. Nope, AHL, please. Thank you. Let's go best lines. Hopefully it doesn't sign anybody for me. So yeah, I need now 3 forwards. I need 3 forwards. And actually, DeSalvo isn't even ours. So technically, yeah, it would still be 3 forwards. Because we have our 2 depth defensemen, we have our depth goaltender. We're good. And actually, hold on. It didn't send down the guy that we just signed, did it? It didn't send down the guy we signed, Cadlec. And we'd actually have to send him back to junior, even though he's American. Okay, well, that was a waste of a signing then. So, yeah. We'd have 3 forwards? Let's see. 1 for DeSalvo's spot. Count him as an extra. All right, so 2 to 3 players, basically, is what I'm saying. That can play on Hartford for the rest of the year. Probably look for veterans. As long as we offer them now, they should accept before, or, you know, they should accept even after the deadline. It'll be fine. Dwight King, you went to the AHL. So let's look for veterans. Veterans. Chris Kelly. Dominic Moore as well. Well, I think we found our 2 players. Yeah, let's sign Chris Kelly for the rest of the year. And let's sign Dominic Moore. And we'll bring those 2 guys in. And actually, let me sign DeSalvo. And then that way he's no longer on an AHL deal after this season. And that way I have the Hartford Wolfpack being just solely players that actually belong to us. So we'll sign those 3 guys flat out. We will trade Chris Wagner, and then this marathon is done for. That is the way to do it. That is the way to do it. So Dan DeSalvo, thankfully it's not an entry-level deal. Perfect. So yeah, with those 3 guys, we'd have 2 depth forwards in DeSalvo, and then either Kelly or Moore, whoever it doesn't put into the lineup. And we're good to go. Yep, that is perfect, actually. So let's go get rid of Chris Wagner to make room for Askew on the 4th line moving forward. And then this goddamn marathon comes to an end. And I'm still not sure, thinking about it, how content I am with the team. I mean, obviously, like, we acquired Jeff Skinner in this episode. Doesn't that feel like it happened forever ago? It does to me, at least. I am going to go talk to Toronto. Do I go after Nicholas Hague is the question. I want to. You know what? Fuck it. That'll make me feel better. Getting Owen Tippett and Nick Hague again. Why not? Although, in fairness, I did lower their potentials. Obviously, in Rebuilding Hockeytown, that was their potentials before they were drafted. I adjusted them, so I don't think they'll become as good of players as they were in Rebuilding Hockeytown. So I'm okay with it. I am okay with it. And let's see here. I mean, look at how many 3rd-round picks I have. Oh, my God. So how much work is it going to take to get this deal done is the question. I'm willing to give up a 3rd and 2/4 to make this happen. Are they, though? That might be a little bit too weak. We might have to go through... yeah, we're going to have to go 2 3rd-round picks. Which is okay. I'm willing to do it. Let's give up... Colorado, Calgary. Let's give up the... actually, wait, there was the Washington pick in there. There we go. Now, that still won't go through. But now that I tack on the 4ths, this should work. This should work. So let's just tack on both of them. Value-wise, it's looking about equal. We'll safety net it with a 6th-round pick just for the hell of it. So Wagner, 2/3 and 2/4 for Nick Hague and a 6th? No. Will it go through straight up? No. Okay. Okay, we're going to have to work for this a little bit. I might even have to give up a 2nd-round pick to make it happen, but that's a bit too much. I'll have to give up a more valuable 3rd pick, which is fine. Let's give up the Colorado pick. That's looking all right. And then we'll give up the Washington and the 2/4. Will that go through? Just a better 3rd-round pick? Yes, it will. Well, could have safety netted it if I wanted to. Chris Wagner, 2/3 and 2/4 to Toronto for Nicholas Hague. Having ourselves a little bit of a Rebuilding Hockeytown reunion. Unbelievable. And we'll send Hague down straight up to the AHL, which is going to cause a little bit of an issue. I actually should make one more trade now that I've done that. If you were to tell me at the beginning of this episode I was going to acquire Owen Tippett and Nicholas Hague, I wouldn't have believed you. Not a chance. But it happened. It happened. So then down in the AHL, so we'll have Kuhlman, Ruwainen, and Hague as scratch defensemen. That's a bit too much. It's a bit too much. So Pionk, do I have faith he'll improve? He will, but will he ever crack the lineup? Probably not. Probably not. So I think I'm going to get rid of Pionk as well. And then we're done. Then that's it. I swear. That's it for this episode at that point. So let's see what we can get for Pionk. Again, he should improve. But by how much and how quickly, that is the question. I don't think it'll be quickly enough. Can we trade him to Calgary? Now, we've done business with Calgary already, if I'm not mistaken. I believe we've ended up with picks of theirs. We absolutely have. But what about your second-round pick next year? That's what I'm intrigued by. Will that go through straight up? No, it won't. But I want their second-round pick next year. And, you know what? I'm willing to use sixth-round picks to help get it. And we'll see if we can actually make that work, because who cares about sixths? Although, if this will go through, I'm content with it, as cheap as it is. It is a little bit cheap. Not exactly in the way of realism. Will it go through? It won't. 1 5th-round pick should do it, though. And here, we'll even use our own. Will that go through? 1 more 6th should hopefully do it. We'll use the LA pick. And still no. And somehow that's even further off than the last one was. Ridiculous. Here, how about the 2 5ths there? The value does look to be in our favor at this point. So this should be done at any moment. Quite close to fair value. 2 5ths, 2 6ths, and Pionk for their second-round pick next year is fine by me. I'll take it. Thank you, Calgary. It's a done deal. We are good to go. We are good to go. So all I need to do now is set up the NHL lineup, because I think we have a game on this day. We'll go best lines down in the AHL for now. And then NHL-wise, again, we'll go best lines. We will have Robin Kovacs, I suppose, on that third line. I want to see what he's capable of. We'll have Miller on the right. Let's go Stromwall on the top line. That's looking good. So the only people I have to worry about are Turris, Hayes, and Miller. And I also need to worry about D'Angelo. So Turris, Hayes, and then Miller should have penalty kill time. D'Angelo has power play time. On the PK, Miller does have that PK time, which is good. And then we'll give Shea the top line PK time. And from there, we're looking good to go. Let's take out Adam Brooks for JT Miller, though, really quickly. And we're good to go. It's just down in the AHL. We already went best lines, of course. I really should turn off the auto-rotate. I'll do that probably before the next episode. Or, you know, still, Shesterkin should get plenty of ice time. But after all that, this is what the team looks like. Unreal. Hayes and Miller survive. Kreider, Mushnevich, Jimmy Vesey, frickin' White, and Wagner do not. We end up with Jeff Skinner. The fourth line is now a complete youth line, which, who the hell saw that coming? And the AHL is drastically different and is going to be drastically worse. Much, much worse on paper. Now, I said I wouldn't sim in this episode, but I want to just get the roster finalized so that in the next episode, we are good to go. So, allow me to at least move forward until Kelly and Dominic Moore both sign. Hopefully that won't take too long. Hopefully it only takes 1 day. That would be nice. DeSalvo accepted at least. We will have to sim this game against Detroit. Let's see what happens. Don't even care if we want to lose. Moore and Kelly both accept, and we beat the Red Wings 4-2. Go figure. So there we go. We win our first game. Could you imagine? Technically, we're only 9 points out of the playoffs. Could you imagine? It could happen. You never know. It could happen. So, down in the AHL, we'll go best lines. The goaltending is set with Halverson being the starter. The defense does need to be slightly changed. Ehrhoff isn't bad. And honestly, he should be getting ice time over Nouveau. I'm going to go with Kuhlman, though, to make sure he plays. So we still have Day and Gattenby. We'll go with Haig and Nouveau. That works, I guess. And then, actually, no. Here, we'll go with Haig and Zaborovsky, and Kuhlman with Nouveau. And again, Nouveau really shouldn't even be playing. It should be Ruinen or Ehrhoff, but it's fine, whatever. And actually, I should have signed one more forward. I was actually short on the forwards, which is fine, unless... Actually, no, Kelly is there. Yeah, I actually should have signed more forwards than I did, so hopefully we'll be all right depth-wise. Might have to play a couple of defensemen at forward this season. But we are pretty much good to go. I'll leave the team the same because who really cares? Players will be getting ice time no matter what. Holy shit, this episode's over. This episode has finally come to an end. We didn't go as crazy as we could have, but still, the rebuild is in effect. No doubt about that. The rebuild is in full effect, and we'll continue in the next episode where we go through the draft, of course. We begin to go through the rest of the offseason as well. But again, you look at these deals, trading Pionk to Calgary, acquiring Nicholas Hague, acquiring Owen Tippett, trading Lettieri for a third, trading Ryan White for a third, Alex Peters and Will Butcher to Calgary as well, Buchnevich to Minnesota for Valeri Kulemin. We acquired Anton Strawman for Ryan Gropp, Tambellini, and others, and the trade that started it off, sending Chris Kreider and Barry Golazov to Carolina for Jeff Skinner and what could be the first pick. So I'm all right with it. I mean, as far as, quote unquote realism goes, I mean, it's not as ridiculous as it could have been. I acquired Jeff Skinner and Anton Strawman. I didn't acquire, Jack Eichel. So we're not quite at rebuilding Hockey Town levels, and I don't expect us to ever get there. Hopefully, knock on wood. So we're doing all right. I think I'm all right with how the deals have gone down. Again, though, trading VZ, Buchnevich, trading players that I wanted to be a part of the series moving forward. It had to happen. We at least won a cup with them. So there's that. But now we got to move on. So guys, that will do it for this one. In the next episode, we sim the next 19 games and begin to go through the draft. And honestly, it'll probably cut off at the draft. We'll have the rest of the offseason be its own video. And yeah, then we'll begin the next season after that. So the next few videos are certainly planned out. That will do it for this one, though. So if you are joining me live on Twitch, of course, stick around. We are not done yet. But if you're watching on YouTube after the fact, we are done here. So as always, I thank you for watching. You know what you have to do to support the video and the channel. I'm sorry for another, what had to have been at least an hour-long marathon. But it happens. Actually, God, now that I look at the timer, who the hell knows? It was probably like an hour and a half. But it is what it is. I'm stalling. I'm only adding to the problem. I'll see you guys in the next episode of the Manhattan Project.